Okay. While we're doing this, you probably want to watch on the bottom and see what the NASDAQ's doing versus Apple when it has its worldwide developer conference. So just don't worry about just one thing. I like that 3 reasons to do something. So just keep that in mind in here. And a lot of times that combines fundamental data. So there isn't one magic bullet, like one kind of setup. So just keep that in mind in here. So the Worldwide Developer Conference is a big deal in Apple. And as you see, the markets just won't go up much, not going down much, but just keep in mind that we like that 3 reasons to do a trade. And they're not all chart related. That's over my long period of doing this, that you increase your probability of success if you add some other things to it. So just keep that in mind. Now, what is today about? It's about talking about post-split action. So you have right here, you have NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is up. So it's up somewhat. The whole idea with post-split action is a lot of times they come back to when they announce a split. So NVIDIA announced a split back here. Right in here, they announced a split. And the stock went nuts. It outperformed. A lot of times the week before, it gives up that, not that second. So it goes from right here, especially right there. That move right here, the parabolic move, it gives it up. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are a lot of like obsessive NVIDIA people that are talking about, well, it's valued okay and all that. And I totally understand that. So let's take Apple. Apple was valued great. So let's go and take Apple, and we're going to put it on demand. Usually what happens is these stocks rally into the announcement of the split, and it doesn't mean they have to go down, but they underperform the rest of the market afterwards for at least a couple of weeks. So look at Apple here. I'm going to take 831. We're going to go into the 831 thing. So just keep this in mind in here. And let me just tell you, when I try to show trades, I try to combine a lot of criteria. And that criteria can change from hour to hour. That's why I'm here. So that's why we have the Chart Patterns Mastery Room in the first place. So just keep that in mind. So the thing I wanted to show you in here was, here's Apple. Here's the day of the split. So it looks great. I mean, day of the split, it's kept going. So everybody's like, oh, if it underperforms, why is it going up now? Well, that's fine. But just keep in mind where it was. Just keep that in mind right here. So it's split right here. A lot of people buying in anticipation of the split. Didn't go down that day. So now we're going to take September 1st. Oh, the split was August 31st. Remember, everybody's not. It's, it's a cheap stock and all that. Totally. Look at that. Kept going the next day. Kept going. Now take September 2nd. And somebody asked, like, well, do you short NVIDIA this second? No, you wait for the reversal. I'm talking about NVIDIA now. So go into Apple the next day. There's your first shot across the bow. The red reversal candle followed by the weak consolidation. Just keep that in mind. That's what we're watching, that weak consolidation right in there. Now what happened? Was that good enough to go and play it on the short side? Well, there's your weak consolidation. Look what happened. Now, just keep in mind, that's an absolutely massive move. That's from 138 to 108, almost 30%. What did it do? All it did was give back everything. That's it. No more, no less. Announcement here. The parabolic run up had a little more torque, and then it fell apart. It took 3 or 4 days. But you see the reversal candle and then the weak consolidation. Now, the really cool thing is to watch what's going on. See that rally after earnings and the announcement of the split. Now we're going to get rid of on demand, and I'm going to show you NVIDIA. exactly the same. Hasn't sold off yet. Don't get me wrong. It hasn't sold off. Maybe it never does. The point is that you need that massive red reversal candle followed by the weak consolidation. You haven't had that. So just keep after the split. You have had no massive red reversal candle. That's what you're looking for. We haven't had it. So just keep that in mind. The other, so a lot of people talking about the Worldwide Developer Conference just today and talking about, oh, Apple's going to get killed after it. It went down before it. Usually it goes up to it. So we didn't touch Apple. I just want to make that clear. So getting back to it in here, though, I want to show you some other splits. So we're going to take Tesla. Now, another thing, usually the second split is death. So I just want you to know that if they split relatively quick. So I'm going to go and take your favorite stock in the world, Tesla. Not yours, but a lot of people's favorite. We're going to take the first split. Now, keep in mind the first split, the stock went nuts afterwards. So here's the 20th. So as you see, this stock almost doubled afterwards, after a couple of months. But look what happened the day of the split, the week of the split. So here we go again. We're going to take August 31st of 2020. Believe it or not, the same as Apple. So you're taking this, and guess what happened? The same thing. So it rallied the day of the split right here. Rallied. Yeah, it gets a little screwy because of the split stuff that it does that. So I got to take it like this. Let me see if I can get it to work. There. Well, it was there for a second. So let's take it to the 16th. There. So that's what happened. It rallied into the split. It rallied a teeny bit more into the split. And look what happened. Look at that red reversal candle, followed by the weak rally. That's what you're looking for so you can draw a defined trend line. You don't have that now in NVIDIA. Not yet. And there's no reason to try to anticipate. So just keep that in mind. You're looking for that big red reversal candle that'll come out of nowhere. So, and I'll show you, there's a ton of them. And also keep in mind something else. If something splits relatively soon from the prior split, that's usually a death knell on the stock. I've seen it 8 million times. So I'll show you. So you go into here. We're going to go, you saw what happened in 2020. Yeah, the stock almost doubled. Look at that. So what happened? They rushed and they did another split, and that was it. There's your split, and that was the death knell. So just keep that in mind in here. That was the death knell, the second split. That took some time, also took a couple of weeks. But I'm just in awe of how often this happens. Let's go take the Amazonian. And let me just tell you right now, overall market, when the bonds are down, you can't just say it's an A setup. You have to combine multiple factors. So just, that's how I do it. It doesn't mean it won't go up. It just means the probability of it having that big move up you're expecting goes down dramatically. That's all I mean. No more, no less. So just keep that in mind. So getting back to it, though, we're going to go over this, and I'll show you. So here's Amazon. So if you think it's a one-off, yeah, Amazon was doing great. Look, I think you see it a mile away. 20-for-1 stock split on June 6th. So that was of 2022. Right here. So we're going to go into there, and I'll show you. Maybe this one works a little better. We'll take June 9th. There. So you see the split. So what do you see? The same exact thing. You had to get that big red reversal candle after the first rally. Look at that. Big red reversal candle after the first rally. And that was it. So now go back to NVIDIA. Do you see any red reversal candle? No, you don't see any. It's not time yet. This is prior to the split. We're talking about after the split. You don't see any big that's that ugly. That's a big red candle. And we don't have that yet. So just keep that in mind. We just don't have it. So until you get that, if you're going to do something on the downside, it better not be very big. I mean, that's the way I look at it. But I can show you a number of these. So all you have to do is go to biggest splits. So Google had a split. And Google was valued great. Well, I think you see what happened with the split. So that's July 18th in 2022. The key on every single one of these, every single one, is the reversal candle after the split. After the split. And if you don't get one, you don't trade it on the downside. Well, as you say, the probability of it going down after the split goes up for a simple reason. That the rally beforehand means there's not a lot of support underneath. All it did was sell off to the support. That's another thing I wanted to show you. See the sell off to support? Now take it 2 months later. First thing, it sold off to support, and then it had a massive rally. All you're doing is taking from where it was just prior to the split. A lot of times it overshoots. So let's go back to Amazon. And we're going to take it to the split. The split's right there, right in that area. As you see, you might have missed that. But boy, who cares if you go from 120 to 105? But the point is, it rallied into the split, had lack of support until it hit support. And then that was a low. So that brings me now to NVIDIA. NVIDIA hasn't had that big red candle. Now, I'm telling you, the second it has it, if it has it, you're going to give up and say, oh, I missed the move. Just keep in mind where the support really is. So the first support, this teeny little gap, it did hold. But it hasn't had that violent red candle yet. So that's what we're going to be looking for, and we don't have it yet. Like I said, why on earth should I buy the markets when the bond market, you know, I've shown through 40 years experience, does matter? It matters at time. When does it matter the most? When it matters the most is when it's gone down and there's been a big divergence. Which brings me to this. The split hasn't mattered at NVIDIA yet. In fact, the higher this goes, the lower other stocks go. It's like it sucks the life out of them. You know, just keep that in mind. It sucks the life out of them. That's just normal behavior now. That other software, other things like JP Morgan go down when that upticks. If you want to know what I mean, look what happened on the opening. NVIDIA got nailed on the opening. On the other hand, this is also has to do with splits. On the other hand, look at the rotation into Home Depot on the opening. There. So this sold off after the opening. This went straight up. It's not a coincidence. This went straight up on the left. Home Depot didn't make a new high. That's not a one-off. There were a number of stocks that did the same thing. So I just want you to know that that's the way I'm looking at this, is this on the left is sucking the life out of the rest of the market. Now, the bond market going down also hurts things. So just that's what I'm watching. But you see, the higher NVIDIA goes, the lower Meta's going, the lower the banks are going, the lower the Google's going. So it's definitely about where money's being put, as if it's a monopoly game and there's only a certain amount of money and they're buying one thing and selling the others to buy it. Look at Microsoft on the right, bottom right, on the low. So I'm not saying NVIDIA is going any higher. I'm just saying that when it had this leg up on the bottom left, it sucked the life out of the Microsofts and the JP Morgans of the world. So just keep that in mind. I mean, that's what I'm watching. So let me show you some more. All I'm saying in here is this. It doesn't mean a stock can't outperform later. Doesn't mean it can't outperform later whatsoever. Doesn't mean that one bit. All it means is that it should have the path of least support back to where it was a couple of weeks ago. That's all. Even if it's the most reasonably priced stock and it's in the hottest industry, a lot of times they come back to this level. Now, I'd like to see a big red candle in NVIDIA before I even think of really getting aggressive on the downside. So you don't have it yet. So if I see this and see a red candle and then a weak rally, then I'm going to look for that bear flag, and then I'll play it to the downside more aggressively. So just want to show you that. So definitely all you have to do in here is go into Google, not Google stock, and just put in biggest splits. Don't put in biggest splits. Put in biggest stock splits. That's the last 2 years. Now, there's a couple of things we just talked about. I was going to go over split action. There's another thing, reverse stock split. I've been involved in those also. If a stock is 10 and goes to 1, a lot of times they want to stay listed, so they do a reverse split. Now, I've traded a lot of those. My success rate is 0. I have never seen a reverse stock split go up in the long run. So I'm sure there's some, but never ones I've traded. So just keep that in mind. If you see reverse stock split, you take it off your screen. There's a reason it did a reverse. So just keep that in mind. Now, are there other ones over the years? Well, you had Caterpillar a long time ago. You have, they don't show a lot of them. Unfortunately, you can go through this and it just, they don't show them as much as you wish. I just know the Amazons, I know the Googles, I know the Apples, and most of them have had the same thing. See all these reverse? Do not trade reverse. Just please don't trade reverse stock splits. Now, I could be wrong and one of them works, but I'm just telling you, in the long run, you don't want to do it. So I don't know them all. I don't know other ones. So just keep that in mind. Chipotle, same thing. Probably have a run up into the split. Well, it's already had a run it up forever. There, it's had a big old run up. I mean, massive, but it's already had a massive run up from here. So keep in mind the Amazons, the Googles, the Teslas, they had moves. I'm not going near this till I see a red reversal pattern. So in fact, it's still going to be, it's still going to be an expensive stock. They're going to ruin the options just like they did with Amazon. So, and Meta. Now, I was looking up something for you in Meta. I thought it had a split, and I don't see the split. So maybe it didn't split. So let's see Microsoft. I love going through these. So Microsoft hasn't lately. It did back in the in the crazy time. So I'll show you. I'm going through it on the bottom on a different screen, so you don't have to see everything scroll. Nah, it's not showing it. But most of these underperformed about 3 days afterwards. Not right now. So just keep in mind how much volume is in NVIDIA today and how much that's probably sucking the life out of everything else. There you go, 209 million on a $122 stock. If you don't think that's sucking life out of other things, you're crazy. Like I said, that doesn't mean it's going down today. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Doesn't mean it's going down today whatsoever. You wait for that red reversal candle in the consolidation. It worked in Tesla both times, Amazon, Apple, Google, and it's worked. And you don't see it yet. So Chipotle, same thing. If I see that, but the problem is you can usually drive a truck through the markets in Chipotle. Even when they have a split, they widen the markets. It's criminal. When I was a market maker, you could never make them 50 to 100% wide markets. But that's what they'll probably do. And NVIDIA actually has great markets, tight. Now, there was a problem, and I lost money in MVDL because they made the markets too wide. I couldn't get out. So I tried to get out at 6 and 7. I didn't want to leg it because they widened the market on everything. So if you trade an ETF that's related to these, be sure what the spreads are on the options. Now, for this week, they're much tighter. And we played this really successful last week. But when you go out, you get very little volume and they screw with you. So unfortunately. And besides that, I'm not doing a lot in here. Now, let me just tell you, a lot of time, our chart patterns mastery, I show a lot of research. One of the things is economic things. So this week, this is just economic calendar. So you have the CPI. If you go just unfortunately US centric, but that's what the US markets care about. You just go to United States and I put in the most important. You're going to see, yeah, the CPI, and then you have the FOMC all Wednesday. CPI at 8:30 Eastern, FOMC at 2. That's going to change things. I don't really want to be in a lot into that. So that's why the volatility is so high with certain indexes into Wednesday morning. So I just want to let you know that. But getting back to the split stuff, I can't stress enough that you need to see the massive reversal. Massive reversal is not a point. It's not 2 points. It's like 6 points. You don't see it. You still don't see it. Now, it could look like that, but you want that kind of candle after the split, not beforehand. So that's what we're going to be looking for, is that kind of pattern. Same with Chipotle. We can look at that because the problem is the first reversal, everybody's going to give up instead of saying, yeah, that could fill the 108 gap. So that's how we're going to look at it. Now, how do you play it? Well, you could play it under the market, but you don't know if it's going to 130 first. So you can wait for that red reversal candle and then the consolidation. Once you see that, you can look to do things under the market. But red reversal candle does not mean a point. It means like 3 points, like equivalent to 30 points before. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in the NVIDIAs of the world. Now, I will tell you, when it comes to everything else, I look at relative strength and weakness. When I watch Apple holding up into the Worldwide Developers Conference, I don't want to do a thing up here other than I watch that bond market carefully. And if the bond market is this bad, I can't chase strength in anything. So now, the way I look at it, the NASDAQ just sold off about 30 points. If Apple doesn't rally, gets nailed, you probably have this down. Then it comes down to, does that mean NVIDIA goes down? Will it get that 3-point reversal? And that's what you're looking for. That's definitely what you're looking for. Will the NASDAQ pull it down enough to make this have a red reversal candle? I don't think so. You're going to have a big old move. There's one other thing that's really important, and I'll show you. Apple has a massive buyback. Did Apple go down only at the end of the day back then? Because the last 10 minutes, they can't buy back stock. Well, let's see. Let's go back to their last split. Right here. Remember, it sold off? So that's 831. 831 in 2020. I want to show you this is pretty interesting, I think, but I think anything with the market is. So we're going to go to, let's say, 83. 83. So we're going after the split. What happened the end of the day on every day? Every day. Remember, they can buy back as much as they want. So let's see. Here's your split. Is right there, the 831. So that would be, there's your split. Right in here, post split. So what happened the first day? Did it go down the end of the day? Not really. A little. How about the next day? A little, not a lot. I wouldn't call that really anything. Maybe they don't buy back at first because they don't need to because all the public's buying. But look what started happening. And so I'm just telling you, NVIDIA has a big buyback. I wouldn't be surprised if it sells off the end of the day. So that's what I'm going to be watching in NVIDIA. Apple, I'm telling you, that could sell off at the end of the day, but let's just see what the Worldwide Developer Conference says. Maybe they have a way to control like vacuum cleaners and world climate and all that. But for everything else, I just can't see how Siri is going to help me other than recipes. So, but I've missed this stuff before, but we'll see. So that's what I'm watching right now. I'm watching the bond market. I'm watching the NVIDIA. And I'm telling you, you see that stock down 3 points, do not give up on the short side. Usually what happens is then it gets sold off. The MACD gets oversold. The MACD gets back to zero, but the stock still has a bear flag. And that's the kind of stuff I'll be pointing out later. So take care. Thanks for being with me.